Welcome to Channel AMEC, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrate to Australia? Maybe you should consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on a little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one of getting all the insight. Now, just like today's video, we're gonna introduce and explain how Australia's Capital Territory Canberra, ACT, Australian Capital Territory, their skill migrations new policy for the year of 2021 and 22. Now, it's not most updated information. It's actually came out on the 6th of July. Now, obviously, due to its very complex matrix, it had taken us for a while to actually digest what it actually produced and what the requirement it is. So, not gonna waste too much of your time. Let's get in there. And if you are in Canberra, maybe this will be suitable for you. Okay, now let's jump in there, have a look. Now, the major stuff that we are seeing here, and perhaps you wanted to Google Canberra's website. Now, the most important thing is the top section in the yellowish area is the as you notice, information about Canberra Matrix invitation round on 1st of July is available. Now, obviously, 1st of July, the round does show what happened pre-July. So it's not saying that it's available, but it's continuing and never stop. And I find out it's actually started on the 6th of July for the new financial year, which will be last week, but didn't get much of notification. I think it's because it's the hard part about Canberra's matrix, and also it's only available for onshore and people who are in Canberra, which is very limited. But I'm here to actually provide more information for you to actually consider, see if that's the way. Now, ACT does offer 491 and 190 nomination for SBO, Small Business Owner Pathway. Now, there's not much of information on the web page itself, but I'll take you to where you can actually find that out. So if you land yourself here, it doesn't say much, because this page, the skill migrant page, are still talking about 2020 and 21, which is you know, it's outdated, it's not updated yet, but once we click into the detail down here, and also on the sidebar, it does provide, as you can see, it's just right on top of me, you can see that up there. Okay, 2021 and 22 allocation, and I'm gonna take you into that information there. So once I click on this, all right, here we go. Again, it doesn't give you much of information. It only says in 2021-22, what they are planning is 2,000 nomination places. Now, that's not many. That's definitely not many. 491 for 1,400 and 190 only for 600 places. Currently, there's nil. No one has been approved or refused, because just started. Okay, now detail here I wanted to show you is the occupation list. Now, bear in mind, once we click on the occupation list, it doesn't give you much. It only says the ACT occupation list was replaced by ACT critical skill list. That means there's only one list now. There's no other list. I'm not too sure why they have on the bar here, navigation, have occupation list and critical skill list. I think it's redundant. What do you think? I think just leave it critical list here. So let's go into critical list, and obviously there's two versions. One is DOC that you can download, and one is PDF that you can download. Now, I've chosen to open up PDF, so I'm going to show you here. Now, this is basically following what ACT had announced back in May, so there's nothing changed. I'm not going to go through with all this detail here. because it stays the same as what it is back in May 2021. If you wanted to view it by yourself, you might want to just Google ACT critical skill list, and you land yourself into this web page and click on either of this button, and you'll be able to access to this critical skill list here. Basically what it says is it's very limited. You look at that, it's on less than five, so they're not taking a lot of applicants at all, and predominantly still looking into the medical health professions, as you see here, and they want a lot of IT people. I think it's because the upgrades of the system required for a lot of government agencies in Canberra, that predominantly most of the public servants working there, and major server hubs, all the IT infrastructures are all there, and that's why they need a lot of IT people. And rest of the other, look at this, they only need 5 chefs. Good luck if you can be that person within that 5. Okay, so now that's not what we are looking towards to get into the detail here. I wanted to take you into the detail of the guidelines. Okay, the guideline is does show what 2021 and 22 ACT will actually provide. So once you hit, but again, it doesn't give you a navigated pathway to actually take you into this page, and that's what I hate for a lot of governments website. It's not clear. It is not clear. Now, so what you need to do, you type in Canberra Matrix, and you land yourself in this page, and you see here, now the trick is here, Matrix submit on or before 6th of July. You see, now that's why they don't publish newsletter, because first of all, it's very limited. They don't need to publish to so many people. A lot of occupation is less than 5 places, so they only want people in Canberra now. But anyhow, I found it, so I'm here to share with you. Okay, and obviously the Matrix submit on or after 6th of July, which was last week. Okay, sorry that I haven't get into publish this video in 7th of July, because I didn't get any notification at all. Anyway, and there is also a PhD stream. Let's have a look whether it's the same as before. So what I want to do is I'm going to take you to the PhD first, and then we come back to the 491 and 190, because it does include information about SBO. So if you wanted to be a small business owner in Canberra, maybe that's a way to go. Okay, so let's go to PhD first. So ACT stream. All right, okay, let's move up that. Okay, that looks better now. Okay, ACT streamline PhD nomination guideline. As you can see, the territory, Australian Capital Territory, is looking to actually absorb those people who actually study in Canberra and achieve of a qualification, at least a PhD, and they want them to stay. So there are 2 ways. There's 491 and 190. So before applying ACT nomination, you must complete departmental home affairs, skills select, that means EOI, and you need to meet 65. Now, most of the PhD graduates may not benefit much from their age points, but PhD does give them a lot of other points, and plus you might want to get at least IELTS 7, and again, predominantly most of the university not even gonna accept you if you don't have an IELTS 7 anymore. So anyway, okay, applying for ACT streamlined PhD is a 2-stage process. So you must express your interest by registering your contact detail on Canberra Matrix. So you must select either ACT 491 nomination and ACT 190 nomination. You're not required to score Matrix points here. So what that means is that when you try to fill out your EOI, you need to tick ACT. You will receive an invitation email with a link, online application for ACT nomination within 7 working days, and then you must have completed in 14 days. So once you've done your EOI and you tick ACT, And then obviously if you have ticked that your qualification, completion of a qualification is a PhD, ACT will proactively looking for these people, and they will email you with a link, and then you need to get that completed. So your nominated occupation does not have to be on the critical skill list. Well, that's great, that's beautiful. So you don't have to be there. You may nominate any occupation relevant to the departmental list of eligible skill occupations. So that's the most of the occupation out there. I presume that if you're doing PhD, most of the majors will actually meet those qualification requirement. Okay. And you need to have a mandatory skill assessment. Well, most of the PhD graduate will have their skill assessment probably on their master or previously in the bachelor degree. Now, checking on your eligibilities for step 1. Now, you have to be there are a couple ways. Okay, one is Canberra Resident. You will be eligible to apply if you have lived in Canberra at least 12 months. So that means if you have trying to complete your PhD in Canberra, obviously, then you will be there for at least 12 months. Complete a PhD in ACT University. Now, interstate. If you live in another state, you're eligible to apply for ACT Streamline PhD nomination. If you were awarded a PhD from an ACT University within last 2 years. Okay, so you might have graduated as a PhD from, for example, Australian National University, and then you got hired or employed by a firm in Sydney. Now that will work for you, but has to be within the last 2 years. Now that's going to be a little bit hard. Not many people, so they want these people to come back to ACT. That's what they're trying to say. So you can see from the first day that we start doing this special report on the new financial year, you see that start from Western Australia. Every state are competing and battling for skilled migrants. Why? Because they can only accept onshore people now. Offshore, not allowed. Okay, now obviously you need to get into phase 3 of what the government of Australia has coined it. You may want to refer to that video, that 4 phases video that I've done previously. Overseas applicant, if you're living overseas, you're eligible to apply if you have been awarded a PhD from ACT University within the last 2 years. So they still consider, but as you can see, it's not on the top. So the top one will be most prioritized, and then interstate, and then overseas. But again, that's gonna be hard. Okay, expressing an interest in ACT nominations. You may express your interest by complete online Canberra Matrix. You are not required to claim Matrix points. So if you have a migration agent acting for you, you need to go to ACT agent portal, or if you're an individual, all you need to do is go to Canberra Your Future. So you need to put another expression of interest on top of the EOI that you have generated, and obviously duplicate information on the Canberra portal. Now complete the matrix, enter your personal information, select either 491 or 190, select PhD and the ACT Uni, and select Canberra Resident or Overseas. Okay, now interesting that it doesn't have the option to choose interstate while they look to invite interstate, but they might have that in the actual portal. But anyhow, apply for ACT nomination. Once the Canberra Matrix is submitted, you receive invitation email, and then you need to get that completed and provide a document. You must attach the following. So you need to have your EOI skill select, skill occupation, skill assessment. Again, I can't stress too much, but skill assessment is mandatory. It's the first step into your skill migration. A lot of people come to me and say, look, I've got this and got this. And I always go back to them and say, look, have you done your skill assessment? No. Okay, then perhaps we should do skill assessment, because without skill assessment, anything else that we talked about will be empty. It will be vague. It's nothing that you can do without skill assessment. Okay, you need your qualification evidence. Service fee, great, it's $0. Okay, the application for Streamline PhD nomination is free. Wow, that's great. Assessing the application, most applications Streamline will be assessed by case officer within 1 week. It's not a too hard. It's not a hard thing to do, and then perhaps you get approval. Now, refusal will be hard because if you haven't got your PhD, why would you submit it? Not just because it's free, then you do it, but again, I don't think no one will actually play this kind of game. And then you apply for ACT nomination visa on the email account, which is connected to the Commonwealth government, which is the immigration. And then obviously that's how you're gonna get it done, and that's the email there. Now, so looks like it's pretty easy, but the hard part is actually completing PhD. Now, not many people can actually do that. So if you have completed a PhD since 2020 or perhaps 2019 in Canberra, you may be qualified. Why don't you get something, get some action done there? Now that's a great way to do it. Now, the meat of the actual new policy for Canberra, let's jump in there. The ACT migration program. Okay, it's a skill migration nomination for starting from July 6, 2021. Now, again, as a ACT, Australian Capital Territory, it could actually utilize subclass 491 and 190, which, you know, everybody watching my video will probably know more about this already. Now let's get into the detailed meat about this. Now, ACT, what's this? This is why we only offer one nomination place per person. So they are saying here the department allowed us to nominate a fixed number of applicants each year. There are more people who want ACT. So what they're trying to say is, please do not duplicate the matrix by putting into different expression of interest as what the EOI allows you to do. So I think that follows the same of what Victorian government has done. Okay, so you only pick the one that you want and then go for that one. Okay, don't do a lot of applications and then wasting the places. Canberra Matrix weighted to ensure the applicant who will make and have a positive economic contribution, blah blah blah. So that's the same, you know. Every country, state or government will like to do that. So the process, okay, meeting the eligibility. Now there are two ways. Now one is obviously you have been living in Canberra. For 190, you gotta be there. Eligible criteria is on page 9. Okay, doesn't really say. Anyway, we'll get in there. And overseas ACT migration is closed a overseas applicant for 2020 and 21. That means for overseas people, only the PhD who graduated in ACT within these 2 years can actually lodge for an overseas applications. Submitting the matrix again, that's going to the portal. That's not too. I'm not gonna go through how you're gonna put in your application and waiting time, submitting all the stuff. So let's jump into the actual nitty gritty of this visa policies. Okay, now here we go. Now for 491 eligibility, Canberra resident. Okay, nomination pathway. You must meet one of the following 3. So one is you nominate occupation is on the critical list. Okay, that is what we have just saw. And you are the primary holder of 457 or 482 visa, and you're working in a nominated occupation that at Canberra for sponsoring ACT's employer, and your occupation does not have to be on the critical skill list. That means you're already working there. Your visa and your occupation was granted before Canberra issued the critical skill list. So that's what they're trying to say. And number 3, the third option is that you are a majority owner of eligible registered business locating ACT and you're claiming matrix in a small business owner category. Okay, that's where we're gonna want to know how the SBO for Canberra will work. The following business time is not eligible: subtenancy, ride share, taxi delivery, courier service, or an unsold business previously used by qualified ACT nomination. So basically meant it cannot be a just renting the business, not solely on renting stuff or ride sharing. Okay, so Uber, DD, taxi and stuff like that won't be counted. And you're nominated occupation does not have to be on the critical skill list as well. So if you have other occupation not on the critical skill list, but you have business in ACT, perhaps you may consider to submit a SBO. Now, resident in Canberra, you must be living in Canberra for at least 3 months. Continue until the date of invitation. A resident is defined living in Canberra, and visiting Canberra short term cannot count. Okay. ACT employment, you must be working in Canberra for at least 3 months as well. So that's 20 hours per week, and within those occupation that you're in, the employment must be continuously paid leave, unpaid leave, working hours. You may work for more than one employer. It has to be genuine position, must be paid, employer statutory declaration, and self-employed. You're not claiming matrix points as a small business owner because you're self-employed. You may work for an employer or self-employed, must provide at least 12-month ACT business activity. So that means if you want to be SBO, you have to have that business already be operational in ACT for at least a year. Your total taxable income has to be at least $520 per week, each week, and you must sign stat deck. Okay, and small business owner, you must be able to claim matrix point in small business owner category. You must sign stat deck and English partners and commit all the living stuff. Now, the 190 that's going there. Now, the first part is the same as previous, and the only thing that difference is here, I think it's the points require, and you need to be there at least 6 months. So 491 was 3 months, I think. Let's go back there. Yeah, 3 months. Now 190 has to be 6 months. Now, interesting, if you do SBO, you already be there for more than 12 months because they require 12-month operating business there. So anyway, let's come down here again. Employment, you need to be a full-time, can't be part-time, so you need to be more than 35. Compared to 491, it was 20 hours per week, and all the employment related evidence. I'm not going to go through that again. Self-employed, again, it's the same, but the total income has to be above 1,000 per week, compared to 520 or 530 per week. And small business owner, again, it's similar to what we had before. Now let's get into the detail of matrix here. So the only difference between this matrix and the previous matrix that I had introduced and explained is obviously the inclusion of small business owner category here. So some of the stuff I will not spend too much time here. Perhaps you might want to download the actual document and go through them. So this is how long you live in Canberra, and you add those points in. English proficiency, your spouse detail, nominated occupation, whether it's actually on the critical skill list or not. And here is the thing that I wanted to want you to pay more attention, and myself to pay more attention with. Okay, so for small business owner now, are you majority owner? 51% of the registered business activity operation in ACT. Now this is very interesting because for what the Queensland and the South Australia have required, they need you to hold actually 100%. Now ACT does not require you to hold 100%. You can have some partner or shareholder to be there together, but as long as you are the majority shareholder or owner, you must meet the following minimum criteria. The business activity located in ACT for sure, and your business must have a minimum turnover of 200,000 per annum. Okay, so you need to show, that means you need to show a financial report. Obviously, a financial report can only be generated in a year turnaround. It must be profitable. It cannot be losing money. Your business must be paying the following. Okay, if you want to do 190, at least 26,000 for 6 months. What's this? Taxable income. Okay, you must be paying that much of tax. And then 491, you must be paying the half of that, 13,000 for 3 months. Okay, so that's you must paying you the following, so that you need to show that you have that kind of income or salary paid to yourself. So then you have that tax payable to the government. That's how they generate. That's how the government makes money, through tax. You must employ at least one Australian citizen, okay, for at least 13 weeks, minimum 20 hours per week. You may employ one or more employer. Does not have to be continuously. The employment must be in accordance with Australian legislation. The employee must be a resident in Canberra, and your business actively trading in Canberra for at least 12 months from the day of purchase. Your business has actively traded in Canberra for at least 6. So again, that's just the points that you can add it in. I think most of people will actually do this one because, well, without that, how are you going to show the turnover over 12 months? You probably can take what it had previously generated, but again, it's better to actually have the full set of stuff. And now the other matrices are all the same as before: employments, skill levels. I'm not gonna go through all this because I have done a specific video on this one. Years of study that you've been doing that in Canberra, and that's basically it. So let me conclude with my video today. So Canberra, Australian Capital Territory, ACT, has opened up their 2021 and 22 skill migration on the 6th of July. Although there's no newsletter or public announcement to every other people. Now the reason is that they are still fixing themselves into that little critical skill list, whereby the placement is so little for whole year. So obviously they want people who are in ACT already. Now there are the major two things that we are looking at today is obviously if your occupation is in the critical skill list, very good, that's way to go. But if there are people who, or you're planning to actually, or perhaps in 2 years prior today, you have actually completed a PhD in ACT in Canberra, the PhD streamline perhaps can actually get you into permanent residency straight away. And the other good news is that the SBO, small business ownership, you don't have to be in the critical skill list, but you need to have a business that's located. So for example, cannot be Uber, cannot be taxi driver, cannot be a sub renting business, things like this. So those passive one cannot be related. But if you have a little cafe or restaurants and they have a turnaround of more than 200,000 per annum, here we go. That's probably a way to go. And the points that required for that one obviously will add up into the matrix, and obviously you need to lodge your Canberra matrix in their portal and wait for the invitation. Anyhow, what is your thought? Do you think Canberra's policy is good or not? Why don't you leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.